Chapter 8. Starting Your Own Community. We but mirror the world. All the tendencies present in the outer world are to be found in the world of our body. If we could change ourselves, the tendencies in the world would also change. Mahatma Gandhi. So far, for my insights into the benefits of community. We need many more communities, and I sincerely hope you feel inspired to build community. Many people have come to the same conclusion and have tried their hand at it. However, the sad truth is that, even though they start with the best intentions, many of these newly started communities fail and fall apart. The vision I described in the past chapter sounds very beautiful and natural. However, it is not so easily achieved. In this chapter, I would like to give some advice to those dreamers out there who would want to turn their dream into reality. This advice is based on my 20-year-long hands-on experience with intentional communities. Starting a community is a combination of both inner and outer work. It is a work of both the head and the heart. You need to dream, but you also need to take the necessary practical steps to manifest the dream. Your head should be in the clouds, but your feet firmly on the ground. Vision and ideals need to be combined with the practical and technical actions to anchor these ideals into reality. Where it often goes wrong is that people focus only on one side of the spectrum. Either they are dreamers that have wonderful visions and can speak beautifully, but they forget about the practical side, or people are very practical and have a lot of technical knowledge and skills, but lack the sense of direction that can hold people together. In this chapter, I would like to focus on two aspects. The first one is cultivating the right mindset, attitude, and emotional availability. These are the foundations for your community. Next, I want to talk about working together with other people, making clear agreements, and having the right legal framework for your community. Inner work. Personal transformation. In Oroville, the universal township where I live, we receive a lot of young visitors who wonder what they should do with their lives. They have a sense that the world is not going in the direction they would like it to go, yet they are not sure how to change anything about it. I always tell them to change themselves first. You can only directly change yourself. You are the only tool you have to create change. So, first of all, you should make the tool as good as you can. Whatever you end up creating, a community or any other project, will be an exact reflection of who you are. You reap what you sow. As the modern sage Jiddu Krishnamurti is reported to have said, "What you are, the world is, and without your transformation, there can be no transformation of the world. Unless in the very essence of our being there is a revolution, a mutation, I do not see how a good society can come about." Whatever unresolved personal issues you have, whether psychological, social, or other, will come in the way of your work. Starting a community is an intense process. You will need to be fully present for it. It will not work out if part of your mind is occupied by lingering personal issues. This is all-encompassing work. Whatever difficulties you have, they will be triggered. Once you start setting up your community, it will be very hard to find the time and space to work on them. If you do not come prepared, you might end up being burnt out. Unfortunately, this is the fate of many people who start communities. So, work on yourself. Do any kind of therapeutic practice that will help you transform those issues. Go do psychotherapy. Change your diet. Meditate, or find another way to make the change in your life you need to do. I did the same thing. Before I started Sadhana Forest, I went through years of psychotherapy and intensive meditation practice. Only then did I feel solid enough to start my own project. Of course, this does not mean I am perfect in any way. I make mistakes, yet most of the inner obstacles I had are no longer debilitating me and preventing me from doing the outer work I need to do. This inner work will take time. You cannot force yourself to change overnight. Maybe you aspire to imbibe certain qualities or values. Let us say you want to be a vegan natural learner living a simple life in the forest. What a crazy idea. Who would want to do something like that? Do not force it onto yourself. You might not be ready for it. I see a lot of people who take on certain practices and then struggle a lot trying to hold on to them. This is because their decision comes from a purely mental space. They think it is a good idea and then use all their willpower to stick to it. When you are ready for a certain change, it will happen naturally and effortlessly. You will not try and hold on forcibly. Your heart and soul will be ready to surrender to it. So, until that happens, just bide your time, meditate, and contemplate on what you would like to manifest. You will know intuitively when the time is ripe. This work of transformation is the work of yoga. Yoga means connection. To me, it means, more specifically, the connection between what we believe in and what we actually do. Yoga is about aligning our ideals with our reality. We might believe in community, love, and compassion. Yet, if we behave in a way that is not very compassionate, that means we still have some yoga to do. If we want to build community, but we throw tantrums when we cannot have things our way, it will become an issue. So, before you start your project, start closing the gap between what you would like to see in the world and what you actually manifest. The right mindset. Working on yourself and creating emotional availability is the first step. Once you feel physically and emotionally stable, you need to start cultivating the mindset that will help you set up a project. There are a few attitudes that are essential for starting a functional and long-lasting community, or any other major life project for that matter. You need a strong vision, a willingness to take risks, boundless optimism, self-knowledge, humility, and everlasting endurance and perseverance. First, you need a clear vision. I start any project with meditation and reflection. Reflect long and deeply on what exactly you want to create and how it is going to function. Your vision needs to be rock solid. Before I started my own community, Sadhana Forest, I had a period of almost a year where I would obsessively write down all the ideas for the community I had in mind. I worked everything out in detail. This became the foundation for our community, and most of the principles and protocols I thought of back then are still in place today, 20 years later. You need to be willing to take risks. Do not be afraid to fail. If you want to do something as out of the ordinary as starting a community, the path toward your goal will not be clearly marked. There is no guarantee for success. You will have to take risks and try out new things. At times, you will just need to have to trust in your gut feeling and go for it. Even if things do not work out, and believe me, they not always do. You must see it as an opportunity to learn and carry on with the renewed energy and inspiration. If you are risk averse, if you are afraid of making mistakes, it may be better for you to join someone else's project instead of setting up your own. This goes hand in hand with everlasting optimism. If you want to start a project, you should never lose direction no matter what the circumstances. Whatever happens, good or bad, you should always see the opportunities and do not allow yourself to get demoralized. You always have to look on the positive side of things. If you give in to negative thinking, you might lose courage. As an Orthodox saint once said, "Be a bee and not a fly. Flies are attracted to shit, but bees are attracted to honey." On the other hand, you also have to know your limits. We are all human, so we have limited time and energy. We cannot get so carried away by our work that it consumes us. Burnout is always a risk in an environment focused on the service to others. In fact, burnout was first described and studied in the human service field. If you burn out, it is not only bad for you, the whole community will suffer. So proper self-care cannot be neglected. Find a balance between taking care of yourself and taking care of others. Creating a successful community is a labor of love. For a community to thrive, the motivation to start it has to be a benevolent one rather than a selfish one. A community creates such an intimate closeness that your true motivations will quickly be exposed. Prepare and attune yourself to the task. Be clear and transparent and preserve through the highs and lows of living together in a diverse environment. By now, starting a community might sound like a Herculean task. If you do not want to succumb to all these different pressures, you should not feel like all the responsibility of the world rests on your shoulders. Be humble. You're just an instrument through which the change you're aiming for is manifesting. You are not changing the world on your own. Rather, you should see yourself more like a medium. You're not the origin of the things, nor the end. You can see it as a higher force, the divine, justice, equality, whatever you want to call it, working through you. When you find yourself in difficulty, this attitude will help you to stay calm and collected. If change is bound to happen, it will happen. It does not only depend on you. You're a simple servant. Just make yourself available for whatever this force wants to be done and have trust in it. This brings me to my final point. Never give up. Be ready to stick to your dream at all cost. Starting a community is very beautiful, yet it is definitely not all flowers and sunshine. Hard times come, and when they come, you need the strength to carry on. Being fully emotionally available and having the right mindset will provide you with the inner resources to do so. I lost count of how many times we almost closed down our own community, and where other people who are less persistent might have done so. We were hit twice by a cyclone that destroyed half of our structures. We had financial difficulties so many times, and many other challenges, yet we never let our heads hang down. The person who inspired me the most to never give up was probably Viktor Frankl. Frankl was a Jewish psychiatrist who survived the horrors of the Nazi concentration camps during World War II. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he describes that the ones better fit to survive the horrendous conditions were the ones who found a purpose in life. Reuniting with loved ones, finishing an unfinished project, fighting for peace in the world. He realized that human beings can endure any suffering as long as they can find a meaning in it. And life holds a potential meaning under any condition, even the most miserable ones. We only lose hope when we no longer have a meaning for our lives. D is equal to S minus M. Despair is suffering without meaning, he says. So as long as you can keep faith in your dreams and ideals, you will be able to carry on. The way I think about it is H is equal to S plus M. Happiness is suffering with meaning. Integrity. Once you have laid the inner foundations and started your community, one of the most important things you will need in order to keep everything together is integrity. Integrity follows from the work of yoga. Practice what you preach. If you stick to your vision, it will give you the energy to continue. It will also help your project to carry on. It will attract the right people to you. If you have integrity, people will trust you and believe in you. It will make your project stand out and encourage others to give their time and resources to you. Integrity might seem to be a bit of an elusive quality, yet let me try and give you some practical advice on how to nourish it. Stick to your values. First of all, never compromise on your values. You can compromise on practical matters, but never let go of the core principles of your vision. Follow your heart and make your project exactly what you believe in. Start your community with all the values you would like to see in it and do not water them down. If you dream of a vegan or gift economy project, start it as such and do not change it, no matter the circumstances. Your values, your belief in what is true and right is what will fuel you in your journey. Let me give you an example. In the early days of Sadhana Forest, a wealthy couple came to us, wanting to join our then small community. They were willing to invest $500,000 in the community, which was way beyond what we had ever been able to invest. They had only one condition. They were vegetarians and would only join the community if it became vegetarian instead of vegan. I turned them down. People thought I was crazy. With this money, we could have scaled up the project easily and built up the best possible infrastructure. Why did I turn them away? Do not get me wrong. It is not that I do not want to have anything to do with people who are not vegan. It is just that if the project would not be vegan, I would not believe in it. And then I would not have the energy to wake up in the morning to devote my entire day to it. I need the project to be exactly what I believe in if I am to find the energy to carry it through. And I would not be able to muster that kind of motivation for a project where people consume eggs and dairy. This is where I see many new communities stumble. They start out with amazing values, but then they encounter some challenges and they lose faith. They start compromising on the values in the hope of fixing the situation. For example, I knew a community that was practicing gift economy. At one point, they were in great financial difficulty and decided to compromise on the value of gift economy. So, they started charging for workshops and seminars. This decision led them to become a great new age business. But many of the founding members missed the original spirit of the community. Other communities compromise on their values because of an opportunity that comes their way, like in the story about the vegetarian couple above. I know many communities that began very beautifully, but lost their community vibe and ended up being ordinary guest houses, restaurants, or retreat centers. Do your sadhana. If you want integrity, your goal should not be any form of worldly success. You should not want to be the biggest or most famous project or to receive the most donations. Do not measure success in any quantitative way. Rather, integrity is a goal in and of itself. Success is being able to be true to what you stand for. Like we said before, it is about doing the work of yoga, realizing your values. That is why I call the community I started Sadhana Forest. Sadhana is a Sanskrit term. It is sometimes translated as spiritual practice, but its original meaning is focus on the truth. Success is about living your truth. So when I started Sadhana Forest, I honestly did not care whether other people would be interested in joining. What mattered to me was that I lived the life I believed in. And so, I started a vegan, natural learning, gift economy community that was entirely substance-free and volunteer-run. People said I was crazy, and nobody would want to join such a place. But funnily enough, on the 4th day, the first volunteer showed up, and volunteers have been coming ever since. You might be tempted to tone down on your values to attract people or funds more easily, but your integrity will also attract people, and it may well make people relate with you on a deeper, more authentic level. Integrity means to lead by example. Like I said before, whatever you create will end up reflecting who you are. So always behave ethically, even when nobody notices. Do not cheat, lie, bribe, or play dirty, even when people you are dealing with are cheating. You always have to play fair. Do not lower yourself to the level of the cheater. Always keep the moral high ground. Always treat people respectfully, even if they do not do it themselves. Hate the sin, but love the sinner, as the saying goes. Playing fair might come at a price. Sometimes, in certain bureaucracies, for instance, cheating will get you there faster. It can allow you to arrange things more easily, but will cost you your integrity. Moreover, it reinforces the cheating behavior and sends out the message that it is okay to cheat. And again, our goal is not worldly success, but rather to stick to our sadhana and our focus on the truth. Integrity also comes with humility. When you focus your life around certain values, there is a risk of starting to feel morally superior and of wanting to lecture or convert others. You do not need to preach. Do not feel superior, as I said before. You are just a humble servant. Everybody is on a different path, and we should not judge others. We should treat everyone with respect, no matter how different they are. We should try to understand and support others, instead of trying to change them. We can only change ourselves, and then hopefully, this might inspire others to change as well. Maybe now we live by certain values like community and sustainability, but we were probably not born like this. So we can relate to people who do not hold the same values in high esteem as we do, because we may have been just like them at some point. Similarly, when people disagree with you, criticize you, or leave your community, you might take it personally. Do not be offended if people are not on the same frequency as you. This was a real challenge for me in the beginning years of my community. Yet gradually, I learned that beautiful as my community may be, I do not hold the ultimate answers to life's questions. I am just doing an honest attempt to live and love in a wholesome way. And there may be many ways to do this. You can only hope people will come to your community and get something out of it. But maybe it is just not for them. You cannot and do not need to please everyone. Clear agreements. So far, The idealistic principles and beautiful words. Important as they may be, you also need rock-solid policies if you want to start a community together. This is another stumbling block for many beginning communities. They start off with the most amazing ideas, but then fall apart because people start quarreling over worldly matters, such as money and authority. Often people think that just having good intentions and loving one another is enough. Yet, as I have said before, hard times will come and conflicts will arise. When this happens, you need rules and a legal background to fall back to. As the Prophet Muhammad once exclaimed, "Trust in God, but tie your camel." So, make clear agreements, written, signed, and notarized. I would contract a lawyer to make the contracts legally binding. If your agreements are written and signed, you can easily enforce them and hold people accountable. This may sound harsh, and some people will feel it is not necessary. They will say, you can just live together as friends, and friends do not need contracts. I do not think so. In fact, often it is the people who insist that contracts are not needed who will end up giving you the most trouble. Rather than documents obstructing friendship, good documents make good friends, as one community founder says. Strict and clear contracts will ensure that the right people join you. Those who are rebellious and immature will refrain from signing the contracts and will save you lots of trouble in the future. You want people to respect and abide by the rules of the community for many years to come. Therefore, you want to create strong deterrents so people will not violate the rules. If they do end up breaking the rules, you want to ensure that firm action is taken. So, in the initial contract, you should define the consequences for breaking the rules. Determine the fines and sanctions for breaking certain rules. Some violations could even lead to being expelled from the community. Even if you write these rules in a contract, people may still not obey the contract. This may sound pessimistic, but I have heard many such stories. People may refuse or not be able to pay fines or refuse to leave the community when asked to. So, you should also stipulate fines people have to pay in case they do not obey sanctions. Moreover, in order to ensure the contract is effectively enforced, people should sign it with guarantors. If someone refuses to obey the sanctions, the guarantors will be legally accountable and made to pay the fines instead. If the amounts specified in the contract are high enough, the guarantors obviously will not want to pay, so they will do their best to persuade the violator to obey the rules. For instance, suppose one community member harasses other community members and is asked to leave. They may refuse to leave. In that case, the contract could state that they have to pay $10,000 fine and another $250 for every day they stay until they effectively leave. They will probably not pay this either. In this case, a legal notice can be sent to the guarantors, who could be, for example, the parents of the community member in case. The parents would obviously not want to pay these fines and would rush down to the community to come and drag the violator out of there. Requiring guarantors will also greatly help you to select the right people for your community. If a person cannot find guarantors, it means that none of the people close to them trust them and wants to take responsibility for them. And if their own friends and family don't believe that they will follow the rules, then why should you? Legal agreements are also important when it comes to the financial aspects of the community. If people invest financially in your community, it has to be very clear what will happen with that money when they leave. Can they get it back? Suppose they invested money in building their house. If they leave, would they get that money back? And if so, who would pay for it? Could they sell the house to someone who is not a member of the community? Etc. Another thing you need to have on paper is your entry and exit policy. Who gets to enter the community and who decides over this? And when is a person asked to leave? And what is the procedure for this? Do not be overconfident. It is very likely that at some point a member of the community will stir up trouble. If you do not have clear procedures at that point, it can make the whole community fall apart. More in general, the entire decision-making process of the community should be clear in the contract from the beginning. Who is in charge? How are decisions made? Where do people go with complaints or new ideas? Compassionate leadership. This brings us to our next point. Decision-making and leadership. One way to make decisions is through consensus. Everyone has an equal say, and the entire community needs to be on board before certain changes can be made. This consensus model is popular in many communities, but personally, I'm not a proponent of it. I think the process of including everyone is very beautiful, but it takes a lot of time and energy. Consensus-based communities can spend hours in meetings without covering a lot of ground. I have seen entire communities turn into battlefields trying to reach consensus. I personally favor clear hierarchical leadership. If the leader is conscious, inclusive, and competent, the community will be a great place to live in. Such a leader listens carefully to everyone, takes time to reflect, and then takes decisions that imbibe deep compassion. Hierarchical leadership can take decisions quickly and move forward swiftly without having to spend hours in meetings. One leader can create a clear vision and take very coherent decisions. This then can attract the people who are the right fit for this particular community. If people subscribe to the same vision and have trust in the leader, collaboration can be smooth and efficient. If you do not align with the leadership, maybe it is not the right community for you. You are free to leave and find another community, or to start your own. Like I said earlier, I hope to see many intentional communities in the world with many different leaders and leadership styles, so it would be easy to choose the one that suits you best. I think strong leadership only becomes problematic if you cannot choose the community you belong to. This is the case with countries. You cannot choose your nationality freely. You were born into a certain country, and usually it is quite hard to change your nationality. So if you do not like the leadership of your country, there is often not so much you can do about it apart from waiting until the next elections, voting for the opposition, and hoping the current government does not get re-elected. If you are in an intentional community and you do not like the leadership, you can always quit and find or start another one. Being inclusive is about making people feel valued and supported. By listening deeply to people, compassionate leaders can include everyone in their decision-making process. So hierarchical leadership can be very inclusive. Community members can sense very quickly if leaders are genuinely interested in their well-being or see them as a means to an end. A good leader encourages people to grow and succeed. I make sure the responsibilities I give people are not too easy for them. This encourages people to live up to the expectation. Many leaders are afraid to encourage the people around them too much. They're afraid they might become more successful and overshadow them. They're afraid of talented people. I am happy to be surrounded by the most brilliant people, to encourage them to rise above themselves and carry the organization to new heights. Your duty as a leader is to make people feel loved, appreciated, and safe. Try to create such an atmosphere around you that people feel comfortable sharing anything that is on their mind with you. Although this should not keep you from clearly expressing your own needs as well, you should always try to be aware of people's needs and emotional and physical state. It is best to stay ahead of things and offer people support before they even ask for it. Often people ask only for support when things are getting out of hand. Another way to create a safe environment is by always taking responsibility for your team. When things go wrong, always be the first to assume responsibility. And when dangerous situations occur, you should be the first one to put yourself at risk.
This is Orville Radio, voices from the city of Dawn.